What's going on, gamers? So we got some interesting stuff here. People were telling me that there was a live interview because I was so into the reading, I wasn't really paying attention to whether it was up or not when I was reading the article from Jez. Been a lot of cool Xbox stuff going on lately. Was in Cody Wood's stream recently. Had a good time in there. There was a lot of good conversations. Good down to earth human stuff too, about just why people sometimes just like to have discussions and it doesn't always have to be about leading to where it needs to be 100% true and going all crazy over that. And then a lot of stuff about games coming to Xbox and PlayStation. There's a lot of cool stuff. You guys should check that out. I actually enjoyed it. I'm glad I decided to go in there. But here we have a live discussion, as some people said they wanted me to look over that because I was just doing the reading, as I said, of the Xbox Ally, the next gen Xbox Game Pass. What's going on in that direction? Could we find some more answers in the live discussion here, right here? And down here, there's also some, as we see, timelines. So I'm starting off at the future of Xbox, and then we're going to go to cloud gaming, then Game Pass, then Xbox Insiders Play Anywhere, and then we're going to get to the Xbox and AMD partnership to get the history there. This is the stuff that we definitely want to go through. So let's go ahead and get right into it and let me know what you guys think. All right, let's go.
Can you tell us about what all this means for the future of Xbox?
When we think about the future of the Xbox, we're really focused on how do we put the player at the center of the experience. And when you really look at how modern players play games today, the vast majority play across multiple different devices.
Yeah.
And I can speak to myself as an example. Like I was traveling a lot earlier this year. So there was a bunch of games where I would start playing on my Xbox Ally, and then I would come home and now I want the full fidelity experience when I'm home on my console, on my big screen TV. And so what we're really focused on is how do we evolve the Xbox ecosystem to allow players to play the games wherever you want to play them, while at the same time we're continuing to build dedicated devices that are optimized for gaming, like the Xbox Ally or our next generation console. So it's really just focused on how players like playing games in the current environment and just designing and building the platform with them at the center.
I love it.
So after everything he just said, is basically what I was talking about, right? When we think about just how can we make the Xbox experience the center of as many devices as we possibly can, and it doesn't matter which device that you're on, they're all going to be able to sync with like cloud, and the cloud will have the backwards compatibility up there. So it doesn't matter what device you go for, you don't have to worry about hardware backwards compatibility when it's cloud backwards compatibility. You see what I mean? And that backwards compatibility is across all devices when it's a cloud backwards compatibility. That eliminates the need for hardware, which is why they must make that next gen subscription tier go to the next level. Like when you think about it like that, it's like, okay, now I understand uh, how it's all working when it's coming together. That's why I want to explain it too, just to add in some things. And then you understand the idea of what they mean by that when we're talking about the Ally, the next gen console, and all of that. That's all going to be able to do the same thing. So there has to be like some PC sync with like some like custom design hardware console architecture mixed with PC. So something like that. Yeah, we'll see more as time goes on, but that's pretty much what it's looking like.
Love it. Well, as someone who uses that feature as well a ton, thank you. You can tell how stressful my life is based on what games I'm playing. And if I have a lot of Sea of Thieves, if you see me playing a ton of Sea of Thieves or Starfield or any Bethesda game, really, you know that I'm stressed out. Like that's like my relax. Yeah. So, I want to switch it a little bit to you to talk about the investments in cloud gaming globally.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, to Jason's earlier point, you're going to see us continue to invest in this area. And this includes adding new servers to meet the growing demand. But it also means exploring innovative ways to reach more players wherever they are. Our goal is really simple. We want to bring more games to more people. Cloud gaming is great at that.
Yeah.
So that means looking at expanding Xbox cloud gaming to even more countries around the world so that everyone can play the games that they love no matter where they are.
Yeah.
We're not just focused on the living room, although it's really cool. Like my living room, I have an LG TV. We have an app that you can just load and play, your Xbox cloud gaming there. It's pretty amazing not having to like plug anything in or hook anything up. But cloud gaming is great because it's not just about the living room. It's wherever you want to go. So if you're playing on that handheld in your hammock, or you and I are flying a lot recently, maybe not the best place for latency for cloud gaming. But when we get to that hotel, the idea to have all of my gaming library there is going to be perfect, right? So cloud really unlocks that access and
Totally.
community across devices and within communities all over. So it's great stuff.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was just saying. So it's not like you're there and you're like, oh, wait, I need my hardware. No, the cloud is right here too, and it's right there. So it doesn't matter where you go. You'll be able to have that same experience. And we want to make it as native as possible, meaning that if I was getting on my hardware, the cloud can provide me the same thing, but just on the cloud. So therefore, you're carrying it with you, synced together. And I think people are definitely going to like that. And I think that's the future that most of the world is moving towards, anyways, the digital, the stream, the cloud. Like definitely saw the Netflix, that was one of the entries. And it's going to be like that. And then one day, internet's going to be so good that the technology differences are not going to be there anymore. It's not going to really matter, and it's just going to be up to how good your games are. 'Cause diminishing returns are going to keep on hitting more and more every generation. That's why they got to add in stuff like ray tracing and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Path tracing, you know, machine learning and all that, which is cool stuff. But yeah, that's why cloud is important.
Jason, Ron, on anything to add around how we're extending cloud and PC benefits to more subscribers?
Yeah, one of the things that we see is there's a lot of players who use Game Pass Ultimate to access the cloud, whether that's the primary way they play or it's just, as Jason said, an additional way to play when you're on the go or not around your console or your PC. And so for us, I think it really opens up the opportunity to make it much more affordable and to make it more accessible to more players, whether that's going into new regions or new ways to actually access the cloud. And then I think the other thing too that I think about when I look at Game Pass, it's really about how do we add more value for our most dedicated players, whether that's things like adding new first party or third party day and date titles to the subscription, the ability to stream your own games, which is a new capability where if you bought a game, now you have the ability to stream it if you happen to be on the go and all your progression moves forward with you, or even things like adding new free to play game benefits.
On the go. Used to be a motto me and my friend would have. He kind of made it up. I made a gamer tag called On the Go. When I was like on the Switch a lot back then, telling them about a lot of things, just some funny humor stuff. When I see them say On the Go, it just reminds me of that funny stuff. But here's something else to know that as Microsoft evolves the subscription cloud service quality as well, that also means new elements of subscription tiers. And I think there's going to be a solo subscription tier for cloud specifically, considering that they're going to be pushing this whole cloud network to be so good to where if you're paying for it, you're going to be able to get that access. Like, in Japan, they actually have awesome cloud networking all over that people could just get for free. America's obviously bigger. But yeah, there's going to be something like that. And when you have that, like I said, it's not really about technology differences at that point. It's about what's the quality on your cloud and what's the quality of the service of the cloud. You have to expand that because you're playing the very, very long game with that. So expect a Game Pass cloud subscription premium service that's going to be upcoming, and then expect like a cloud service that's separate from that for people who just want to do cloud only. They're going to have all that. I promise you. I think I see some of that happening with the hardware innovation.
Bits. We're really focused on adding as much value as we can to the Game Pass subscription.
Love it. I love it. Or adding a hammock to the Design for Xbox program.
That's right.
That's
Exactly.
directly to my boss. That's a pin. Like, we got to talk about this in our one-on-one. I would love to talk about Insiders a little bit. Jason Beaumont, we've seen a lot happening in Insiders lately related to playing on Xbox and PC. What can you share about what's going on there and news there?
Yeah, absolutely. So a good way to think about this is Xbox is investing heavily in how you experience the platform on PC and places like the Xbox Ally, as well as Windows handhelds more broadly. We knew players wanted a better experience, so it started with the team asking ourselves how we could make the user experience feel as easy and frictionless as possible, with our console experience really as the inspiration in most cases.
Yeah.
And when you pick up a device like this handheld, you really want the simplicity and kind of elegance of a console experience, but you want that freedom and power of Windows and open ecosystem underneath it. So on the PC, we've been making a lot of investments that have been kind of continuously rolling out to insiders. I think there's even more coming in the coming weeks.
Ooh.
So the first is really about my library. My game library is something in the app now that is across multiple PC storefronts. So when you pick up one of these handhelds, what you don't want to do is really visit the desktop a whole lot. What you really want to be able to do is play your games regardless of where they came from without having to kind of make a trip to a desktop experience that really wasn't built for a controller and a smaller screen. So what we've done is we've kind of aggregated all of these different storefronts into the library in the app. So if you've downloaded and installed a game on, say, BattleNet, it's going to show up inside of your library.
It's basically the same thing that's available right now on PC, but it's going to be like that. And I know what he means because you don't have to do all of that when you're on a handheld. That's annoying. So doing that for the handheld is definitely smart. Just for that simple reason. I know what he means. They're simplifying the navigation. Otherwise, yeah, that would be quite a hassle. I'll try to treat that like a PC desktop in that way. It's a smart way to think about it. Whether people are going to get it or not, I just think that that's an intelligent decision. So
in the app.
Yeah, super handy.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, that's a huge plus, honestly, just like from a navigation standpoint. And frankly, like there's just so much, our libraries are so bifurcated and like we have games everywhere now. It's just a handy feature. Really.
Absolutely. And we were talking about cloud gaming earlier.
Yeah.
You want your cloud games in there too, right? Like you don't want to have kind of like just your natively installed games. A lot of times on these devices, you want to play something that maybe you haven't gotten around to downloading yet.
For sure.
Or, these devices also have a wide variety of capabilities. Some of them are more powerful than others, but you maybe want to be able to access something that maybe natively doesn't work as well, but cloud gaming can, so you can still go play that game.
Nice, right? Yeah, surface more of my backlog so I can remember how deep the rabbit hole goes.
For me, that's one of the best things about these form factors is they're like backlog crushing machines.
Totally. That is 100% what these handhelds are. That is like, it's so nice. Achievement hunting, backlog crushing.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. For me, they started off as a little bit like, I'm going to go do my daily chore in Destiny kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But then like, as I played with it more and more, I was like, I really like, you just start looking through your library and you're like, well, I wonder how this is going to play on this form factor. And so I just end up kind of finding moments to play that when I'm only able to go in my basement or only able to go in my living room, I just wasn't going to get to some of those games. 100%. Having them on a handheld makes them more accessible.
So basically, you see him talking about the transferability and the continuity of the Xbox experience, depending on where you're at or what type of mood. Trying to basically display the medium of like why it's cool to have all these handy different devices to continue your experience, seamless experience. If people want that, definitely as a diehard Xbox, player or hardcore fan, or people who just want that experience, got the money to do it, just in general, just to do it, just to see how it is. There's always going to be people who just love doing that, like Linus and those type of pages, those tech pages. We'll be doing a lot of coverages on that, like I do on any new devices that come out. Do the comparisons. Love doing that. So we're getting a lot of answers here, aren't we? And we see when it comes to the Ally, it's pretty much exactly what we thought it was, and that you're going to be able to get that experience through the cloud, as I was trying to tell people, outside of the native aspect. And they're working on it very hard before they launch it soon. Let's continue.
To your point, as you said, we've both been traveling a fair amount this year. So there'd be a new Game Pass release and I'd be on the road and be able to instantly download it to my handheld and play it the day it came out, even though I'm not happen to be at home.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we made an investment. One of the investments we made in the app is really, you don't want to kind of have in your head like, oh, I was playing that game over there or this other game over there, and that's where it kind of lives. You just want to be able to open up the app, see your most recently played games, regardless of what device you were playing them on, and then pick up and play, whether it's natively or via the cloud.
Yeah, so, I love it. It's just there.
Exactly. So we added this kind of roaming. So it kind of, if you played a game on, say, your smart TV app, or you played your game on your console or on your PC, and that most recently played games list, that's kind of like right front and center, you're going to see those games kind of like show up across all of them. So that's been a big feature we've added recently.
I also love.
Yeah, the reason why I think that's a good idea, little stuff like that does definitely come a long way, because then you're thinking about them picking that up from a gamer perspective rather than here's my desktop PC perspective. So I don't think you're buying that to have a desktop PC. perspective, and I guess it's more like gamer first experience rather than desktop first experience. Because when you get on a PC, it's not necessarily just looking at it as gaming. You know what I mean? It's all, yeah. So I like what I'm hearing the way that they learn about that. And you can learn about Nintendo from a lot about that certain things too. Like when you go on their consoles, ain't no Netflix, ain't none of that, but you get right to that gaming. And though people say things like, but it sells and it works, it's all about the gaming. Look right at the games. And you're not distracted by anything else. And it's pretty funny. So when you see people start like doing stuff like that, it is smart. It's something to think about because then they're more drawn to look at it more as a gamer experience. Like you make their mind feel like that too, because the way the navigation is, it's all about gaming in that aspect. And yeah, I have to say that's good because I know about handheld. You know, I've been around since 1993 in the gaming industry, born in the 80s, obviously, but I've seen it, and I'm telling you that something like that is pretty damn good.
Love that you brought up like just I mean, we've talked about a little bit surfacing games we're not usually playing because not only like beyond cloud remote play, beyond like Game Pass surfacing games to me and getting to try games I've never played, I feel like this form factor also like sparked something in me where it's like I'm trying games I never played.
Yeah.
You know, like I was never a coffee talks guy until I had something like
In
this.
Seattle.
Yeah, I know. That was definitely a pull for me. I really like that.
Yeah.
But like those kind of games are like Pentiment. I loved Pentiment so much, and that was a perfect like that was my fall asleep game. Like play it right before bed for an hour, and that like again like some games I just don't know that I would have given them as much of a chance if I wasn't just like laid up with a handheld, you know, cozy.
Well,
playing.
in the cozy part, it's funny you mention that because the form factor is something that I can like.
They're picking up on some of the handheld cues. See, look, the thing is like this is why it's also smart when you think about the handheld. Nintendo's been doing this for a while, but I see that Microsoft's picking up on it. Maybe who knows how they would have learned it. Um, when you have a handheld world online too, you have to think about the idea of another type of competition, time, competing for time, and keeping your market up not only on the living room but away from it. See, that's where Nintendo was always smart, and then the mobile world picked up on that way later on too, right? Because none of that is in the living room. You remember what they were saying too? We got to think past the living room now as well, because you're thinking about, wait, when I turn away from the living room, my mind is still looking at their shop and I'm still engaged. Regardless if you think it's lesser or not, it's a matter of if you can get that going along with the living room too, that's saying a lot. And they've been doing that for the longest. So people are starting to think about those type of models now because it's like I said, there's outside of all the other competitions you could think about, competing for time is definitely the most important thing. How much can I get you in my world? Hmm?
Like have while like laying in bed or like when the family is like doing something I'm there like next to them.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter and I've been playing a bunch of cozy games on it. So
Nice.
you know there's like a little to the left and like
Oh,
you know unpacking.
Yeah.
I think there's one called like my cozy bedroom.
Nice.
All
Nice.
you do is you just
Yeah.
you just set up. Oh, she had it.
I know what the game is just from this.
Yeah.
title,
Like,
yeah.
like I don't think I need to describe the plot
Yeah,
to you.
yeah,
Even.
yeah,
I think you got it.
Yeah.
So,
It's not a Kojima game.
right.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to kind of like play side by side.
Yeah,
And
totally.
even though it feels like a very individualized device, just the fact that it's portable means you can have it on these different locations in the house. It's cool.
Now, as a player, I love the choice you're giving me and my fellow gamers here. But I'd love to know what we're seeing from our community, what we're hearing and seeing from our community and the devs in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing from the community is that they're playing Xbox games in more places than ever before. And so, like, that's why so many of our investments are about being able to kind of pick up and play your games no matter where you are and what device you're on. A big part of that investment is our continued expansion of cloud gaming and making that just more accessible to more and more people. And I'm really excited about a bunch of the announcements that we're going to have in the coming months along those lines.
Not only that, are we seeing the really good response from players, and as you said, we all enjoyed ourselves. We're also seeing a really strong alignment with developers as well. You know, one of the things that we see is for titles that support Xbox Play Anywhere, they're seeing more play because now the game's available on many more screens, so there's many more opportunities for me to play. And then when I think about Game Pass, in this past year, we had record Game Pass revenue, and we had our all-time high on payouts to developers that participate in Game Pass. And in addition to that, we're also seeing double-digit growth in both our first.
We've talked about PC.
Okay, yeah, we know about that, but we're trying to get to some more stuff. Okay, let's get right here to talking about the AMD partnership, if we're going to hear anything more about the console, and then we're going to finish it here. It's kind of a pretty beefy one, so I wanted to get to the good stuff.
We talked a little bit about the hardware, but I'd love to dive in more to the console specifically, right? So, Ronald, I think this question's for you, but Sarah recently announced Xbox's partnership with AMD on our next generation hardware lineup. And not gonna lie, I was super excited to see that, obviously. And I'm a little partial. I am in hardware. I will say it. Cards on the table.
Yep.
But what can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So Xbox and AMD have had a decades-long partnership, really innovating and driving the next generation of gaming. And we're excited to continue that relationship as we look forward to the future of Xbox. So last month, we announced a multi-year strategic partnership that spans multiple products across console, cloud, PC, and handheld. And we're deeply focused on hardware and silicon innovation and how we can push the boundaries beyond the current generation of devices. But this is really all grounded in the work we're doing to create a unified platform that allows players to play across devices and in entirely new ways. And it's really about ensuring that gameplay is not locked to an individual device or an individual storefront. And it's really just the recognition of, like you said, of we built our libraries across a whole set of different services. We want to put that entire library front and center, no matter where you choose to play. So together with AMD, we're designing dedicated silicon and hardware to enable the next generation of gaming experiences. And so that means we're investing deeply in the next generation of rendering technologies, such as neural rendering, which will bring a new level of fidelity to the quality of the games that you're having. And it's really about deepening the immersion between you and the gameplay experience that you have. We're also investing in dedicated silicon to enable the next generation of AI capabilities that will be transformative in how you actually experience your gameplay. And also provides a new surface that developers can actually take advantage of and deliver new kinds of experiences that they've never been able to deliver before. And all of this actually even starts with this year with the Xbox Ally, because the Xbox Ally X has a dedicated NPU, which allows us to start experimenting and trying some of these AI-powered experiences well before we get to our next generation console.
Yeah.
And when I think about it, this really reminds me a lot of the early days of the original Xbox. We had a vision of
Okay, so after seeing that live compared to reading it, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing because he's basically bringing you into their circle, and right before the circle completes, you'll see that it's everything working in one unity. With the Xbox, everything is an Xbox. Even though the console is last, but they're perfecting everything before they launch that or the console PC. You get what I mean? Then it completes the circle of what they're trying to do. Whatever other models they have along with that. So yeah, I mean that's solidified that it's one process, and then we got the solidification of Steam, GOG. We've seen that earlier. Unless something crazy changes, and yeah, we have our answers here. So the only thing that is missing is will online be free like PC? Since it's a PC now, how the hell is that gonna work? That's the only thing I want to know. Other than that, yeah, let me know what you think, guys. I fully covered this now for y'all. We got this going, and we got the good stuff. So yeah, if there's anything else missing, I guess I could put that a part of another video I'm doing. There's still a lot more content to do, and then it's about to get crazy the next 10 days with all these launches and everything. All right, y'all. Peace out. Have a great day. Later.